Hello there and welcome to another tutorial with Fly the Noob. Today we're going to be looking at the native 2024 version of the Kodiak 100 by SimWorks. I had released a video earlier taking a look at the 2024 compatible version. That is a port over from 2020. Today we're going to take a look at the native 2024 version of the Kodiak 100 by SimWorks. So the first thing we're going to do here is let's start off by taking a look at the walk around mode here. So we're going to do that. All right, here we are in the walk around mode, and there are a few differences right away from the 2020 and 2024 compatible versions. You can see that you've got your engine covers, and there's some sort of interaction here with the wind. You've got your pitot tube covers and your chocks. Let's see how we can go around. One of the things to note, the click spots are quite finicky. They are quite temperamental here. So let's see. We can get rid of that. This pitot tube here. Oh wow, this time it's not as bad, but you see if we go a little further, it doesn't work. It's usually quite difficult to nail this, but today we have it quite easy for us. Let's get rid of the chokes. As you can see, there's a specific angle and distance you need to approach them from, or else they are not going to disengage here. So yeah, the walk around mode is a little bit temperamental, but apart from that, it works just fine. So there's one of the major differences, to be honest. You can also open up the cowling here for the engine as such. You can do that on both sides, as a matter of fact. This is something you weren't able to do in the 2024 compatible version, but you can do that here in the native 2024 version. So that is pretty cool. Let's take a look at this side. Again, it's pretty temperamental, the click spots. You gotta get it right. There you go. Yep, so yeah, nice level of detail there in the engine and stuff like that. Okay, once again we need to get really close to close that out. There we go. Okay, we can jump into the aircraft. This is supported. You just need to open the door and you can jump in. Obviously all the doors are interactable from the walk around mode. Once again, you need to go a little closer until it decides that you're close enough, and you can press the door. That should get it open. There you go. Twist the handle, press the door. Yeah, all this works fairly well. Just the distance is an issue when you're trying to press them. Apart from that, it works fairly well, which I think is pretty okay. Alright, you can open up the door. You can jump in just by pressing that. That is very nice, isn't it? Okay, let's go ahead, close the door up. There you go. Very, very nice. Oh, sorry about that. Lock that up. This was still interactable, I think, interactive in the native version. Yep, this was also there in the native version. One thing I can't do here is make the pilot appear and disappear by pressing the fire extinguishers. That's something I could do in the native version. All right, jumping into the cockpit, we can see that the EFB, which is just the default EFB included in MSFS 2024, is available as a mount in the middle of the yoke, which is kind of useful, I guess, but I still prefer to just use it from up here. You can hide it and show it like this. Guess it's useful. Maybe if you want the map open for some reason, but you've got a much better screen here, so I don't know how much of an advantage having this is, but yeah, we can do that. Apart from that, in the cabin, to be honest with you, I don't see much of a difference in terms of texturing or features for that matter. I don't see much of a difference. This was already available in the native version in 2020 and as a 2024 compatible editions as well. So I don't see much of a difference. I'm not entirely sure if these lights were operable in the 2024 compatible version. I think they were though. I think they were, but nonetheless, we do have lights functioning, and as you can tell, the cabin pretty much looks the same. So in terms of textures, there hasn't been a massive improvement or any at all that I can visually perceive, to be honest with you. You can still see the kind of polygons there, and it's not too bad by any means, but it's nothing that we are slowly starting to get used to here in 2024. You can still see the polygons there, and this is pretty much how the 2024 compatible version or the 2020 version was like as well. So have they done much in terms of texture remodeling? I am not too sure. I believe this is a little better right here. I'm not entirely sure about that either. But yeah, that is what we have. In terms of perceived visual fidelity, to be honest with you, it seems pretty much identical to the compatible 2024 version. All right, so let's see. What had happened was I had bought the 2024 compatible version earlier at the marketplace when it was going for a discount of about 50%. I thought, why not? I'll pick it up. And then I saw the upgrade available for about $20, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought I'd give it a try to see what's different between the two versions. And yeah, one of the major improvements or advantages of buying the upgrade was that I got the amphibian version. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, all right. Now, I am at a beautiful airstrip called Sirena Station. And that is where we are. As you can tell, it's a very, very lovely, lovely little airstrip. I have flown out of here before in one of my earlier videos. I believe it was a Cessna tutorial. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this aircraft started up, see how different it is in terms of flight modeling and handling and operations when compared to the compatible 2024 version or the 2020 version. Okay, so let's go overhead, get this started up. Fuel shut off master. I'm going to put that down. Turn those three on. Wait for some initialization there. There we go. Got our metrics available to us. Auxiliary fuel pump up. Ignition on. Started to high. NG is rising. Everything here is in the right position. This is how it should be before startup. There you go. You've got stable NG and everything is pretty stable. Let's advance the condition lever to low idle. Observe the increase in NG and temperatures. There we go. Let's turn on the generator and the alternator now. Stable, green, excellent. You can advance the propeller. There we go. Watch the RPM rise. Advance it to max. And we can turn off ignition, turn off auxiliary boost, bring the starter back down to off. And there you go, our engine's stable and started up. Okay, looking good. Great. Flaps can come down to position 20. If there's strong crosswind, we can use position 10 for takeoff. All right, now since Sirena Station is a little bit funny, it is a tight little airstrip with trees on either side, very tall trees on either side. I'm going to go for 10 rather than 20, just to see if we can make it out of here. Okay, we forgot to turn on the beacon lights, but that's okay. There's nothing around us. But nav lights too, by the way. Why is strobe lights on? There you go. The lights are out of whack, but that's okay. Okay, now in terms of rudder trim, it's recommended to take off with the rudder trim slightly to the right. And I do agree, that is correct for the most part. But you can obviously put it in any setting that makes flight comfortable for you. There are times when I like to simply put it in neutral and just use the rudder myself. Okay, for our takeoff trim here for the elevators, we want to put it somewhere here, which I find works best. So we're gonna try that. Let's do that. Use the wheel here, put it somewhere in the middle near the takeoff position right there. There we go. That's good enough for us. Okay, now let's come down here and try and program in a very basic route today from MRSN Sirena Station to a place called MRPJ. So flight plan, gonna press that, This is very typical of most GA aircraft. Garmin system. Sirena Station, done. Let's just go straight towards, no procedures available for these tiny little airstrips. MRPJ is where we're going, so let's try and get that in. MRPJ, that is Puerto Jimenez. Okay, we're gonna, enter that, there we go, enter that. We've got a very basic flight plan here, you know, just something like this. We're not gonna follow this GPS track the whole way today. We are going to fiddle a little bit with our autopilot panel, just so we can see how it works. Altitude selection, we're gonna go till about, let's do 2,000 feet today, that should be plenty. And for heading today, we are going to go roughly in runway heading. We'll tune that when we are, that is not, oh sorry, this is wrong. I think runway heading is somewhere here. Yeah, we'll leave it like this. All right, great. Now, if you want your GPS track to be available quickly by pressing the nav button, you need to make sure that your CDI here is actually selected to GPS and not in the localizer or any of the other modes. So you want it in the GPS mode. Just in case if you're pressing nav and that's not working, this is why you need to tune that in. Okay, it's a very basic thing, but just in case you don't know that. All right. I think we are ready to taxi on out of here. Now it's recommended to taxi on low idle, but today I want to get that extra power available to us. So I'm going to advance the condition levers to high idle, just so we can taxi fairly easily here. All right. So there we go. There we go. Alrighty. Now, one of the things to remember is that engine damage is modeled with this particular aircraft. If you try to turn on the engines with your condition levers in the wrong place throughout the sequence, it will sputter or blow up or fail on you. That does happen. One of the things that I don't like about this aircraft is the fact that we don't have a custom EFB where we can actually monitor the engine, reset damage, and all of that good stuff. We don't have that. Okay? We do not have that here. Despite that, let's go ahead and take a look at how it flies, how it operates, and see whether it's actually worth paying for in terms of native versus compatible versions of this aircraft. Alrighty. That's enough chit chat. Let me go ahead and release that parking brake. We are rolling. As you can tell, it's because we're on high idle. Okay, we're gonna turn, and since we are on a little bit of an incline there, that should cut off. Oh, we don't. Okay, there we go. Give it a bit of power. Open it up. There we go. Very lovely airstrip, Sirena Station, but it's not exactly the easiest airstrip in the world to land into. As you can tell, tall trees on both sides. Okay, we're gonna line up right here. I'm gonna pump the brake there. Okay, let's get the lights in order. Strobe lights up, taxi lights, well, too late for that. Landing lights up, trim's looking good. Everything else looking good. Fuel flow, pressures, all green on here apart from the NP, which is fine for now. As long as it's either the green band for flying. Oh yeah, talking about that, let's come in here. Now, to make sure that this engine does not give up on us, you keep the torque, the ITT, the NP, and the NG in the green band as much as possible during flight and operations. That's literally all you have to do to make sure that you do not encounter issues and damage the engine. That's literally it. Just like every other aircraft that we've flown in the sim, that's all you have to do. All right, now release parking brake. There we go. Let's get that engine up. There we go. Open it up. Watch that torque. You can go yellow for takeoff, but you want to bring that down a little bit. 60 knots, 70 knots, we're good. Let's take off from here without hitting any of the trees. There we go. Brilliant, we're out. Can bring our NP down slowly. That is the propeller RPM lever. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put the flaps up there. And we are up and out of here, just like that. Very nice. Lovely. Okay. We give it off to the autopilot right now. Pressing the autopilot button. There we go. Oh. Let's press the altitude button there. That didn't do much, did it? Okay, maybe we should have waited a little bit. Cut the throttle back. Yeah. We need to select VS on this. Give me a moment to do that. Gonna select our VS. Like that. Yeah, there we go. Our autopilot is taking its sweet time to respond. That's okay. Let's also turn on our heading mode here. There we go. Good. Heading working. Yeah, everything here is working. So obviously you can maneuver the aircraft with the heading mode as you like. You can climb out your altitude, use VS. You can, I believe, there is flight level change. Yeah, there is. There is flight level change mode. I don't know if it works. 146 knot. Yeah, it does work. It actually does work. So depending on the level of the throttle that you allow the obviously it doesn't have auto throttle. Now depending on where you put your throttle, it will try to climb in the way that maintains the airspeed at which the aircraft was flying at when you press the flight level change. So that does work, kind of work. That's good. Let's just go back to VS mode for now and control our speed completely by ourselves. Okay, everything here looking good. Landing light can come to off. Brilliant. Obviously you can control the cabin conditions over here, the temperature and the AC and all of that good stuff. You can control that over there. Cockpit temperature. Let's put that up. Let's get that running. Why don't we get that running? Let's get that running as well. Let's put it on automatic actually. Let me just put that on automatic. Okay, great. Alright, and we are on our way. Now let's turn back around and use the nav mode to capture the GPS track and see how that functions in our flight, sorry. Okay, now, so as I was mentioning, there are no major texture upgrades or significant functionality or even any change in the flight model. To be honest with you, it feels pretty much the same as the 2020 Kodiak. So there isn't much of a change in terms of that, to be honest with you. The only significant advantage that I see by upgrading is the fact that you get access to the amphibian variant of the aircraft as well. So, and you get the walk around mode. That's pretty much it. You get the walk around mode, you get the amphibian variant of the aircraft, nothing else pretty much. So if those two things are important to you, then you can consider upgrading from the 2024 compatible version to the 2024 native version. But otherwise, to be honest with you, you might want to save some money currently when the 2024 compatible version's on discount and just pick that up and leave it there. So yeah, that's just something to remember. There isn't much of a difference if I'm being entirely honest. Okay. Alright, we're flying along here. I shall, okay. I'll tune in when we get a little bit closer to our GPS track, just so we can see the process of the aircraft capturing it from heading mode to GPS. Before that, let me go ahead and arm the GPS mode. So right now the GPS mode is armed. As we get close enough to our GPS track, the aircraft should automatically arm it. So yeah, when we're a little bit closer, I'll tune back in. Alright, we are very close to our GPS track. Let's increase the range there. Sorry, decrease the range. Yep, we should begin capturing it. Let's help the autopilot a little bit there. We should begin capturing the GPS any second, the track there, and we should start following it. Let's just watch that process happen for a second. Okay, come on. Come on, still waiting. We're within 1.5 nautical miles of it. It should happen. There we go. GPS mode has been caught right there. I think we have to be within 1/2 nautical mile or so for that to happen. And now we'll follow our GPS track. We also have this visualization to help us guide us on the programmed profile. Obviously we have a very simple plan today, so it's not gonna do much for us, but still. There we go. We're gonna fly along here. Fly along here until we reach our destination. When we're closer to our destination, we can see how we can land. We'll take a look at how we can land this particular aircraft and see if there's any real difference between the 2020 edition and the 2024 edition. I'm talking about comparing the native 2024 with the 2020 edition. So even if you're flying this in the compatible 2024 edition, that's basically the 2020 edition in my opinion. So yeah, very nice views. All right, I will chime in with you when we get closer to our landing. Alrighty, we are coming up on our destination here really quickly. So if we take a look around, we're coming up on our destination. So I think it's time for us to go in and try and make a landing. Okay, so now from here on out, I'm going to disconnect the autopilot. There we go. My aircraft, I have control. So let's see. Let's first of all try and spot this particular airstrip, which I believe is in front of us. Yep, there it is, right there. There we go. We can see the runway, kind of, can't we? Watch our airspeed there. There it is. There's the airstrip we're trying to land at. Okay, looks pretty decent. I've never seen it before, as a matter of fact. Okay, let's go ahead and turn out over the water, and then we'll come back in for a landing. How about that? That sounds good. So this aircraft is much better in performance compared to some of the other GA aircrafts of similar nature. Particularly the Black Square Caravan. It has much more performance under its hood than that aircraft. It's probably because of the lighter weight, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure though. However, it is much more forgiving with handling mistakes, and the way it's modeled, it's also much more forgiving with slight runaways when it comes to engine conditions. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Alright, so we can turn back in around and come in for a landing. Let's just give ourselves a bit of distance before we do that here. So there's the airstrip right there. We're flying pretty much parallel to the runway. We're going to fly out and give ourselves a bit of distance, which I think is important, particularly for this aircraft. Okay, we're at about 1,100 feet or so. To be precise, we're at 1,000 feet. Yeah, about 1,000 feet. 146 knots, not too bad. We want to land at around 70 to 60 knots depending on how you're landing. Although I recommend having about 65, 70 knots, to be honest. Let's see how it goes. 1,000 feet. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's cut that, throttle slightly. We can turn this very, very steeply, as you can tell. This aircraft is perfectly comfortable like this, at least in the sim. Let's find out. Okie dokie, there is the airstrip right there. Okay, good. Let's configure for landing a little early. Propeller max. Let's check out our condition lever max. Landing lights are off, but I don't really need to worry about that. Ideally would turn them on, obviously. Can put our flaps down slowly. The speeds for the flap extension are already included in the flap lever, so that's good. Okay, we're a little low, so let's just maintain the altitude here. Let's perform a full flap landing. Give ourselves enough power to make sure we can maintain altitude given this high drag setting. And we're gonna come in for a landing, okay? All right, there we go. 400 feet, that's okay. Yeah, that should do. Can cut back on the throttle now because we do not want to accelerate. There we go. Make sure we don't stall here. It's not too difficult to control speed. However, remember that there is a slight lag between control input and engine response. There we go, not too bad. There we go, and we are down. And we can use reverses as well if we want to stop. There we go. I'm not even using any braking at the moment. We don't need to. Put our engine back to normal. And there we go. We have made successful landing. Okay. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. Turn around. There we are. Okay, now that we're back on the ground. Yep, just like that. Let's see if we can taxi in on high idle at the moment. We're taxiing on high idle. As you can tell, the speed will keep increasing here. We can actually go down to low idle now that we're on the ground. Why not, right? Just push it back down to low idle. There we are. Good. Slow down a little bit. And we can park any one of these places. I'm just going to take this one right here. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put it there. Put that parking brake down. Okie dokie. Let's turn off some of the lights that we don't need here. We should have turned on the taxi lights, but that's okay. Brilliant. Let's bring that condition lever down. And let's cut it off completely to feather. You can also cut off our condition lever. Put this back up the whole way. You can pull this to off position. Put this off. Put these two off. You can put the beacon lights off. You can put these off now. There we go. Turn all of that off. You can also turn the battery off there. Go up to the fuel selectors and turn that off. So there you go, guys. That was a little full flight walkthrough and a look around, or what do you want to call it? A preview? Not a preview. What do you call it? A first look? Something of the sort. Featuring the 2024 native version of the Kodiak by SimWorks Studios, I believe they're called. It is a lovely aircraft. However, when considering the upgrade from the 2024 compatible version to the 2024 native version, things to keep in mind: texture improvements are basically either non-existent or they don't make a perceivable difference. They really don't. You can still see a lot of polygons and all that stuff. So that's one thing to note. Second thing is, it still does not have a custom EFB. It is just the default EFB that you can now mount in the middle of the yoke. If that's important, depends on your preference, but doesn't really make a difference. The real advantage of the upgrade is the fact that you get the amphibian edition included. And all the configurations, you've got your Tundra tires, you've got your cargo pod, you've got your different interiors, commuter summit, you've got your amphibian floats, and all that good stuff, okay? But apart from that, you also have cargo pods and stuff. Yeah, you do. So apart from that extra variant being available, you get the walk around mode, which to me doesn't make much of a difference, to be honest with you. It isn't mind-blowing, the walk around mode compared to other aircrafts. So yeah, given all of this, that is my honest opinion on the SimWorks Studio Kodiak 100 when comparing the compatible 2024 with the native 2024 version. Now, that being said, the aircraft in general is an absolutely great aircraft to fly. It is so much fun. It is a very nicely modeled in terms of very nicely modeled aircraft in terms of the flight dynamics and the flight modeling. It's pretty good. It is pretty good. So yeah, if you guys are considering purchasing this particular aircraft, or more importantly upgrading from 2020 versions of this aircraft into 2024 native, I hope this video helped. I hope it helped get you started with this aircraft if you're new to it. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I shall catch you guys in the next video, and until then, have a good day. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and check out the channel. See you in the next one. Bye bye.